Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are going to have a special show today, talking about the upcoming TAtech Europe event in Paris in just under 3 weeks' time. So we're very excited. We're really looking forward to it. And to discuss this all today is our expert who knows all about Paris, and of course is with our very special event partners, HrFlow. Good afternoon, Stephen Bauer. How the devil are you? I think you're on mute, Stephen. Oh,
Yeah, indeed. The old trick of the trade, unmute. But yes, thank you for having me, Stephen. I must say that this is my first webcast, I think, with another Stephen, with another PH.
that's
Yeah,
gonna
happy to be here.
that may well be an issue of contention, because of course we're going to be joint
Yeah,
MCs on the day for the event. So when people say, Stephen, we're going to have to work out some sort of system. When I was at school, there were 5 Stevens in my class. I think it was the year for Stevens. I was Stephen number 1, of course. So we'll have to work out some kind of system for that.
Indeed. Well, being co-founder and the lead at TAtech, yourself, I will just default to any Stephen being you, the primary Stephen, and I'll be the secondary Stephen with great pleasure.
Well, as we were saying before we went on, perhaps one of us should be Etienne. Uh,
There you
which
go. That's going back way in time in history. Yeah,
which should be French for Stephen. So,
exactly.
looking forward, we're really excited for the event. We're really excited that HrFlow are our event partners. It's kind of a home game for you. It's in your backyard. HrFlow are obviously based in
Exactly.
Paris, and
Exactly.
we expect a good showing, not only from HrFlow, but hopefully from quite a few Parisian, French, and mainland European members of TAtech who are coming along to the event as well. I can see everyone coming into the chat here. Good to see everyone. We've got Sarah, Lana, Ethan, Peter, well as there, Adam Gordon. So great to see everyone here. So for the event coming up, Stephen, just talking about Paris. I've been to Paris a few times, but never to. Actually, I've been to Unleash in Paris. But I was going to say, for people who are coming to Paris at this time of year, we'll get into the event itself in a second. But what should they expect in September in Paris after the Paralympics?
Oh, there's so many different facets to that question, because there's the uniqueness of Paris having just gone. Well, by the time TAtech starts, Paris will have just gone through the Olympics and the Paralympics. So what's going to be difficult to answer to that question is how Paris is going to be just after such a huge event that I think has been globally considered a success. I know for the French, even for the Parisians that dared stay in Paris during the event, they were super excited. The environment was amazing, where you have this stereotypical kind of grumpy French people in Paris that are. There was none of that during the Olympics. So I'm anxious to see if that'll continue all the way through September, or if the French are going to go back to their I'm doing some stereotypes that I can afford to do, being half French myself. For the people that are on French people that are on the call, please forgive me for that. But Paris is actually a wonderful city. It is just amazing on the eyes, in terms of amazing on the palate as well for food. And so I think there's going to be a period just in terms of the Parisians themselves and getting into Paris. I think the transport is going to be tried and tested through the Olympics, so that I don't foresee any problems with any public transport. It's fairly robust in Paris for those that have never been. Taking the metro, it's not the most modern metro in the world, but with that said, it's always on time. It runs until 1, 2 in the morning with tremendous regularity. And so I think, in terms of public transport, there shouldn't be any problems. In terms of, you'll have kind of a city, though, that's probably trying to find its normal again after having gone through the Olympics. But I think with kind of a little euphoria. So I hope we get to benefit from that euphoria at TAtech as well from the rest of Paris.
Absolutely. I can see we've got Adam Gordon there in the chat. Adam has spent much of the summer aside from being briefly in Germany, but being in France and Paris at the Olympics. And people might have seen, the opening to the main Olympics was a little wet. But actually this week, the opening to the Paralympics yesterday and the day before looked fabulous. And it was all or mostly in the Place de la Concorde, which is just... a little bit. It's maybe about 500 yards away from the venue. So if you head from the venue towards the river, you'll hit Place de la Concorde, and that's a great place to start for anyone who's looking to just get their bearings in Paris.
Absolutely, and Place de la Concorde, it's a tremendous reference point in terms of you have the Louvre that follows its axe going east, and then you have the big arch, l'Arc de Triomphe, and La Défense, the business district, following west. But it's just a short throw away from the venue.
So where the venue is, it's kind of in the smart end of town. It's close to the presidential palace. It's close to the Champs-Élysées, and there's a metro station just outside in the square there, Saint-Augustin, and I think there's a train station just round the back. Is it Gare Saint-Lazare?
Exactly. There's Saint-Lazare. Yeah, you have, for those that are new to Paris, you have a variety of different train stations that service different areas of France. But if you're coming in, if you're flying into Paris, and if you're coming in from Charles de Gaulle, Roissy, then you have a train. The quickest, but most expensive is obviously taxi. But there's regular taxi service. There's fixed rates for Paris. Coming in from Charles de Gaulle, I believe, if you're going to be staying near the venue, the fixed rate, don't quote me on this, but should be around 50 euros for a fixed rate taxi. Otherwise, you do have a train that does multiple stops through different cities as it goes into Paris, but then a train that goes from Charles de Gaulle into Gare du Nord, which is not the closest train station to the venue. That's Gare Saint-Lazare. But with the metro, can take you very near to Saint-Augustin, which is the closest metro station.
Yeah. I would always recommend if there's more than one person, then it's worthwhile getting a taxi.
Exactly. In terms of money and time, the best is probably a taxi, especially in terms of time from door to door.
Now, before we go on to the event itself, I've put some. If people want to scroll up on the chat there, I've put some links to the place where you can book your tickets. If you haven't got your tickets yet, then get your skates on. But also some hotels that I would certainly highly recommend. Did I paste it in the right place? I'll paste that in just a second, but there are a clutch of hotels around the area. So if you booked your tickets to get there but haven't got a place to stay yet, then definitely look there. In fact, on this page, on our website, there's a whole clutch of information on exactly that. So I'll just put that in the chat right there. So getting on to the venue itself, people might think the venue is a little bit unusual. It's a venue that's associated with the armed forces in France, so it's obviously historic and quite unique. But from the inside, the venue is fantastic for our kind of event, where we've got space for the main hall for speakers, and of course another large hall for our deal center. So in terms of the event itself, for someone who's not been to TAtech events yourself, I know that Mouadine has been to more than a few. What has he told you to look forward to?
So yeah, and so this is where I'm in a unique position where we're sponsoring the event, but on a personal level, this will be my first time joining a TAtech event because I didn't
Yeah.
have the ability to join in Washington D.C. In June. So very excited about joining the one that's happenstance in our backyard that we're sponsoring. And the very top line, Stephen, is that this is a very qualitative, a very rich, very intimate event in terms of talent acquisition, the companies, the speakers, the guests that are attending,
Yep.
etc. And it's really a 2.5 day event where you can spend quality time and quality discussions about industry, about business, about especially deal making, and I think that's a big axe and objective of TAtech that you and Peter have built through the Deal Center that's live throughout the
Mhm.
entire event. And so, yeah, really looking forward to meeting other decision makers from the industry, trading
Mhm.
best practices, seeing if there are deals to be done. We like deals, and see how we can globally too, as just an industry, and as decision makers, move talent acquisition, forward in the right way.
Yeah, decision makers is absolutely the right term to use. The typical attendees to TAtech events are founders, CEOs, senior executives, and partnership managers and directors for their organizations, large and small. When you'll see,
Yeah.
CEOs from very large, very well known businesses, but in terms of peer level, they're on the same level as a CEO who has just launched a new company, because large and small, they'll have the understanding of leading an organization. And often the people who are with the big companies have grown to that stage, so they know what you're going through. So the ability to speak with other people in the industry is absolutely vital. I often liken it to, if you had a room full of cats and you dropped in a mouse, then all of the cat's attention is going to be on that mouse. And when you go to events like Unleash, for example, where there are thousands of TA people in the room, then all of the cats are looking at all of the TA people, and that's the attention. Whereas if you take the mouse out of the equation, I'll stop talking about cats and mice. But when it's entirely people within the industry, then they have so much to discuss in terms of partnerships, collaborations, integrations, deals that they can do with each other, investment, often mentorship. There are people who come along who are successful in the industry and they're looking for startups to invest in. Other companies are startups looking for those people to invest in them, and all of that can't happen in your typical convention or conference where there are so many people in TA around. And again, being able to talk about the recruitment landscape that we're in, which of course is very unique. This kind of circumstance that we're in just now is always going to be unique, but it seems that it's changing on a much more frequent basis. So it's vital that people can gauge their perspective on the marketplace with peers who are in their own organizations doing exactly that. So that's where the Deal Center comes in.
Yeah, no, and I think you touched upon an important point, or at least a point that was super important for us at HrFlow, Stephen, is that there's a point where an event goes from quality to quantity in terms of discussions and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I think what we definitely appreciated, what is my colleague and founder of HrFlow, Muhyiddin, has seen and has assisted to in the past at TAtech, is really that qualitative side where you have the ability to have long form discussions with peers in the industry, with decision makers.
Yeah.
And we're all on an equal footing in the sense of, whether it's a deep tech startup or a 2-person job board, all the way to a 2,000-person company CEO. We're all there on the same mission, and we're there to learn from each other. And we have the occasion to do so because there's not 50,000 people. It's not a 50,000-person trade show.
Yeah.
It's really it's qualitative in that sense, and so you can really have deep discussions over that time period with your peers.
Absolutely. No, we're not expecting to break records, but we did have a record broken in Washington for our deal center, which, as we say, is the core of the TAtech event, where we had from about 240 attendees, we had over 900 meetings arranged in the deal center. And that kind of number must be surely the ceiling of what's possible. But the deal center was chock-a-block and busy the entire time. So aside from the deal center, as you might expect at any conference, we have a stellar agenda, and the agenda is very much drawn from the people who are in our industry, the people who are senior executives, founders, CEOs, and experts in our sector, people that we all would like to get time with to pick their brains, but we're getting them on stage, and they're going to be sharing their expertise. So of the agenda that you've seen so far, are there parts of it that you're thinking, well, because of course we're going to be joint MC, we're going to be introducing people on stage. Are there parts where you're thinking, well, that's catching my attention more than others?
I think, I mean, I don't want to shy away from giving a straight answer, Stephen, but I think that they're all super important. You know, when I look at the agenda, and there's focus really on the EMEA job board forum, but that can be expanded. But it's nice to have EMEA in there because there are some specificities with regards to the E in EMEA, in Europe, and data privacy and whatnot. That is going to be great topics of conversation in there. Then, of course, investors and analysts, and investors control capital, analysts control opinion. Or not control, shape, I should say, opinions. So that's super important too, to also understand where they're coming from, and also engage in those topics, what they potentially are looking for from an industry, as you said and correctly said, is evolving and changing at a rapid pace, and probably increasingly so with the different technology tools that are coming out. We'll get into that, I would imagine, at TAtech as well. And of course, the deal center is just absolutely key, and I think a tremendous component to the TAtech conference. And global talent technology, right? HrFlow is a deep tech and an AI company. We have some opinions on the technology side of talent acquisition as well. So I think those are equally important topics in a great way to organize a conference.
Yeah. So getting into that in that case, so HrFlow, obviously based out of France, but Meridian is in the US, and very much an international organization. In terms of the way that you fit or collaborate with partners, how do you go into those discussions where you're thinking, well, how can we create strategic partners here that can be the catalyst for our growth?
Yeah, I think, I mean, this is a very simplistic answer, and it's how do we create value? How do we create value for the people we partner with, and how do we and does that value creation create value for us, right? Does that does any type of collaboration with a partner, does that help us grow as well, right? So the famous win-win, or again, the win-win-win. When we involve the partner's clients and whatnot. So we really approach it from that perspective on a very macro level. On a very micro level, it's, how can our HrFlow, we focus on AI. We've been doing it for years, even before ChatGPT became a household name inside and outside the TAtech industry. But it's, how can our AI expertise, tooling, processes, and of course products and APIs, how can that help an HR tech company, whether they're a job board, whether they're an ATS, whether they're someone else? Can we help them add top line through new features, and will that help us grow subsequently and help us invest and provide even more functionality and whatnot with them? So for us, it's really about, okay, there's two two circles in a Venn diagram. There's us, there's the partner, and
Yeah.
where and how can we converge those, and what's the maximum coverage we can get by putting those two circles together?
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's just speak a little bit about, and we don't need to go into the details of the talks because, of course, well, you can see that on the agenda. But if I just,
we'll get into this,
yeah, I'm just going to try and show some of our speakers. And you mentioned there the Investors and Analysts Summit. Rob Brewer, for example, CEO of Job Rapido, he's going to be speaking about the issues that come up when you're running an organization which is investor backed or investor run, having board level representation from investors, and how you're able to manage that. Peter Linus from Bullhorn. Peter Linus has been with Bullhorn from almost the very beginning, and he's responsible for mergers and acquisition activity with Bullhorn, and they're frankly really busy on that front right now, where they're scouting and identifying companies that they're looking to buy. So I'm actually having a discussion with him on stage where we're going to be digging into, okay, so what do you look for? What are the things that alert you to a company that should have your interest? Are there companies that you're looking at now that you're not interested immediately, but you can see in a year or so that they're going to be companies that would be in your sights for acquisition? And how do you plan those things out, and how do companies get your attention, frankly, that are looking for those kind of partnerships? But yeah, the spread of people that we have on the agenda, as you can see, are really quite phenomenal. Hilda Kabashenga from the African Talent Company was a great speaker in London last year, and actually she caught quite a few people by surprise with some of the stats that she was sharing about the recruitment technology and the hiring sector in Africa. Africa is obviously an immense continent. It's it's not one thing, but the opportunities there for companies who have established themselves in recruitment technology and job boards in Africa are immense. So again, some amazing speakers. Lana Schumann, who I think we've got in the chat there, is of course on the agenda, and Adam Gordon too. So each day, I'll just close this down now, but each day begins with a RecX talk. We have a RecX talk on the first day, on the 18th, with Alex Forless from Broadbean, which has now become Veritone. And on the second day, we have Hilda giving the RecX talk first thing in the morning to get people going. So there's no shortage of that. And what we do find is the people on stage and the topics that they bring up on stage are a fantastic stepping off point or catalyst to not only approach them and speak with them. They're all exceptionally approachable, but also to give people ideas about, well, what should we be considering for our business? How can we move forward? And how do I find people here that I can discuss these topics with and maybe have a partnership with?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then just to rebound on what you said, Stephen, too, I mean, just the breadth of experience that you have on that slide and is tremendous, right? So just going back to that original question of, why TAtech or as opposed to another conference, is that look at the quality of and the depth of the experience of all of those speakers that are on that slide. And the different problems they've solved, the different regions they come from that have different specificities that they may often be ignored on one region of the world. And so it's just, it's tremendous to be able to learn from all of that. And yeah, we're all humans, and we're on the same mission of trying to maximize human potential and find clever ways of doing that. And through technology and through business. And if we can do that, then, we move humanity forward in a great way.
Absolutely. One other thing to expect is there'll be a slightly different demographic to attendees than we have in Washington. We always have companies in the US who come over to events in Europe. Either they already have established business here, or they're looking to get a foothold in the market here and build with partners. But at the same time, we have quite a few new companies who are coming that are either unique to Paris and France or wider Europe. The Hello Work team are going to be coming along. I know we have
fantastic. Okay.
Rodolphe from Hello Work is going to be there, and
Okay.
I think there's going to be quite a few people from Hello Work are going to be there. People are coming from as far away as I mentioned, the States and from Japan. I think we have someone coming from as far afield as that. So it's very much an international thing, but with a particular focus on Europe, and we're really looking forward to it. I should mention, I didn't mention at the start, before the event on the Tuesday night, on the 17th, we have a welcome reception. There's a very nice restaurant just in front of the venue on the corner. So we're going to be having a drinks reception there. And I would really encourage people to come along where they can to the reception there. It's a great icebreaker. It's great to have that meet up with people who are going to be at the event before the event proper starts, because again, you're starting on the right foot. And for people who are flying in, then it's an early start in the conference, so coming in the day before enables you to come to the reception as well. So definitely encourage that where at all possible.
Yeah, no, and just from a personal opinion, starting events with a welcome reception, or just kind of just a non-pressurized or just an informal gathering, just helps make the event the subsequent days that much smoother and that much more qualitative. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that as well.
Talking about accidental meetings, the church in front of the venue, St. Augustine, I was there in June, just checking out the venue, making sure everything was okay. We'd obviously met and spoken before, but I went for a look inside the church because it looked interesting. And I'm standing at the altar, and who taps me on the shoulder but yourself? You were there with your son, who was singing in a choir, and you don't even live in that part of town. So
no, my
happenstance.
Yeah, that was absolutely. Yeah, that was pretty neat. Where my son had just given a concert in the Paris Boys Choir, and then right after the concert, I see you walk by, and I was like, oh, it's Stephen. And so right next to the venue. Absolutely. So, Paris is a big small place too, and that's what's great about Paris too.
So I've been keeping, as I would do, I've been keeping a check on the weather, and it looks pretty toasty still in Paris. 28 degrees or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an Indian summer. So I cross our fingers, because June and July were pretty wet, as evident of the opening ceremony in the Olympics. And even I'd almost say halfway into the Olympics, it was still pretty rainy. Second half was sunny, but hopefully that just means the sun got pushed back another month. And normally the weather in Paris, to be blunt, in September is fantastic. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Having a drink on a terrace while soaking up the different sights of Paris is an amazing experience.
And there's so much to see. When I was there, before going to the airport, I thought, I'll get a hire bike, I'll cycle to the Eiffel Tower, and I'll just have a look, take some photographs. And when I got there was on the corner tickets being sold, and I thought, oh, and it was like €12 or something. I thought, oh, I'll do that, not realizing that the €12 tickets are for the stairs. So with a backpack on my back in the hot sun,
a little bit of a workout.
I climbed to the second level of the Eiffel Tower, and let's say I was struggling to survive by the time I got to the second stage, but I was really chuffed that I did, because the view was phenomenal and it was a completely clear day. So if we've got good weather in September, fingers crossed, then it's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely. And for those that may be spending a little bit time prior, or maybe even after the event, you definitely take the opportunity to to visit what Paris is known for. And even if it might seem cliche to go visit the Eiffel Tower or the Arc de Triomphe or sit on a bistro terrace, those are things that make Paris what it is.
Do you know, if you go home and you haven't, you'll regret it. So while you're there, you really should take the time. On the topic of sons, my number 3 son is going to be coming along to help out with the event. So Zach will be there, looking to polish up his French. So I think we'll all be doing a bit of that. And what's great is that you're there speaking both English and French in order to help out those amongst us who are going to struggle. So on that note, I want to thank you very much for coming on today. Looking forward to the event in September. And everyone who is with us, let me just double check. Do we have any? Ethan is going to be there, 16th to the 21st. Fantastic. Adam is going to be staying at the Hotel d'Argenson. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Look forward to seeing everyone there, yourself and all of our attendees, all of our guests. And please, if you haven't booked your tickets already, then get your skates on. Go to TAtech.org and get your booking done there. And in the meantime, I'm going to say au revoir, à bientôt.
À très bientôt. Merci beaucoup, Stephen. Our pleasure as well. Super excited to have TAtech in our backyard. And looks like Adam's sending through a slight pronunciation correction for you, Stephen. But I'll leave that between you two. But yeah, if anyone has any questions about Paris in and of itself, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Stephen.Bauer@HrFlow.ai. I'll just even put that in the chat.
Superb.
That way, if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out or send me a ping on LinkedIn, and happy to help as much as I can. We're excited to see everyone in 2.5 weeks' time.
Okay, c'est parfait.
Parfait. Bye-bye. Merci beaucoup.
Bye, everyone.
Très bonne journée. Au revoir.
Au revoir.